Hello, welcome to Sobriety Bestie. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I did for a morning routine my first year of sobriety, my first year of recovery. So I ended up going to Alcoholics Anonymous in 2009, and when I went there, if you haven't seen already, I did videos. This is my first meeting of AA is up here. And so I had a sponsor. This is what my sponsor had me do at my first year of sobriety. Number one, she had me call another woman in sobriety. Now, whether you're in AA or whether you're not in AA, and I don't recommend AA, I don't not recommend AA. I recommend that you find a path that works for you. There are many paths, and there are actually many more paths now. I'm making this video in 2022 than there were in 2009 when I got sober. So I recommend that you find a path that works for you, and regardless of what path that works for you, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous or something like The Tempest or Smart Recovery, that you connect with another sober human every day. That was a great idea. Now, even though she told me to call a woman in sobriety, a woman in recovery every day, I didn't necessarily do it. It seemed like for me, like the phone felt like 500 pounds, and picking up the phone and making a call seemed like an impossible task. Especially like now, in 2009, we actually were more likely to make phone calls, right? And now it's even, not, people don't really use phone calls these days, right? Is it just me? Anyway, I do recommend calling somebody or connecting with somebody in sobriety every day, whether it's through an online forum or an online sobriety or recovery group or wherever you feel is your sobriety home. I think having a sobriety home is a great place to go, to connect. No matter where you do it, I feel that connection, sober connection is really important, especially that first year of sobriety. Number two is a gratitude list. So she had me text her 3 things that I am grateful for. And I want to add on to this, what I've learned about gratitude in our brains and what I've learned about addiction is that connection, connecting with someone in sobriety is really good for our brains and recovering from addiction, but so is gratitude. And it's not just writing down, like, I am grateful for, let's say, coffee. And that is a very valid thing to be grateful for. In fact, I currently am grateful for my coffee. Good morning. But it would be like, I'm grateful for coffee. And then I think to make it even deeper, to make it even better, and to actually work at like the science of your brain and help rewire your brain, not just thinking of what you're grateful for, but feeling it if you can. So if you can drop into your heart and like think of the reasons why you're grateful for coffee. I'm grateful for coffee because it wakes me up in the morning. It gives me a boost of energy, especially that first sip is so delightful. And I would just think in my heart of like all the reasons why I'm grateful for coffee and feel it, or even just one reason why. When we feel that gratitude, it's almost like we're creating a new path in our brain, a new road in our brain. And that's really the road to freedom, the road out of addiction. We've been going down one road, the addiction road, the drinking for me, right? And maybe you're here because you like alcohol the way that I did, right? Or love alcohol the way I loved it. But we've been building this road in our brain. That's the addiction road. It's literally like neural pathways, right? And then so now we need to build another road, right? Another road that we can go down so that our brain no longer needs to go down this one automatically. We're burning a new path in our brain. Gratitude helps us do that. Connection helps us do that. That's part of the reason why these practices are wonderful. Number 3, how are you feeling? And if you're like me, the first year of your sobriety, you don't know how the heck you're feeling. I didn't know how I was feeling. I felt like I had never been angry before because I thought anger was like rage, and I wasn't usually in rage, right? I was really disconnected from my feelings. I was disconnected from my body. I didn't realize how disconnected I was from my body until I started reconnecting to my body. And so still, what I recommend here is you can Google like feelings list and get in touch with how you feel once a day. So in the morning when you're connecting to somebody in sobriety, you're doing your gratitude list and feeling the gratitude. Google feelings or print out a feeling list and look at it and think, how am I feeling right now? How am I feeling right now? This might be really easy for you. It might be really difficult for you. I worked at a rehab in Indonesia, like in Bali, like about 6-7 years ago. And this is one of the things that we did in the rehab when I was working there. We'd pass around a feelings list, and everybody who was in rehab had to identify how they were feeling. And for some of them, they could do it quickly. For most of them, it was challenging to have a feeling outside of sad, angry, happy, like the basic ones. And there's nuances to the feelings. And we don't need to get complicated with this. We can keep this like simple. It can be simple feelings, but just connect to how you're feeling. This is bringing your attention into your body. This is what we want to do in order to heal. Be more present. Be more aware of what's happening inside of our body. because then we move into emotional regulation. We no longer have the alcohol or the substance to regulate us emotionally. So it's now our responsibility to be on the journey. And it's actually a beautiful journey. You know, it's life-changing, of learning how to regulate our emotions and be more present with our body. And that actually helps us heal from our past. Number 4, now remember, I was in Alcoholics Anonymous when these were given to me and when I did this my first year of sobriety, but she wanted me to let her know what meeting I was going to every day, which AA meeting. So if you're in AA and that's your vibe, that would be the thing, right? And if you're not in AA and you're doing something else, how are you connecting with your sobriety every day? I think it's still a good idea, no matter what path you're on, to connect with your sobriety every day. So are you going to read a text? Are you going to go to an online forum? Are you going to go to some sort of Zoom something or other? Or is there a way that you can connect with a sober community? Or maybe it's not relevant for you. Maybe the way that you're doing your sobriety and your recovery, that's not even relevant. Remember, when it comes to alcohol addiction, it is a spectrum so-called disorder, alcohol use disorder. It's not like alcoholism is a diagnosis and everybody's either alcoholic or not. That's not actually like my understanding. According to the DSM-5, where in America we diagnose mental health conditions, its addiction is it's called alcohol use disorder, mild, medium, severe, right? So depending upon where you're at on this spectrum condition, you're going to need different levels of support. I did need to go every day. I didn't have a job. I wasn't employable. My brain was a hot mess. You know, I was coming off benzos as well. I'm not sure if you're also coming off benzodiazepines. I was on Klonopin for 2.5 years. So benzos are things like Xanax, Valium, Ativan, Klonopin. I'll put my benzo playlist up here if you haven't seen it yet and it's relevant. You want to check it out. So I had a lot of my brain had a lot to work itself out. There was a lot going on. I was really, really uncomfortable in my skin, actually for a long time, because I didn't have tools, and it also takes the brain a while to rewire itself. The good news is that it can. So depending upon where you're at on that, the alcohol use disorder spectrum, right? Was it like a light problem? Was it not really a problem and you just want to be sober and do yoga? Or was it like such a problem like me where you were potentially about to die, right? And so you might need to connect with a community on daily if that's where you were. You might not. Trust yourself. 5, she had me pray to stay sober. So in Alcoholics Anonymous, the ideology is around having this higher power, connecting with this higher power, and that higher power is going to keep you sober. So the idea here and the suggestion that she gave me was to pray to this higher power, that I was developing this relationship. I was coming to believe in this higher power, right? That's step number 2 in Alcoholics Anonymous, coming to believe in that power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity around our drinking. And so she had me pray to this higher power to stay sober in the morning. Every morning, thank you, please God, keep me sober. Please higher power, keep me sober. And then the additional bonus on this would be like adding like a nightcap to it, right? Like a bookend to it. Like, thank you, higher power. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe, angels, guides, for keeping me sober. So I'm not suggesting that you pray, because this is such a personal decision. And I think that we need to do whatever feels in alignment with ourselves. So whether you actually are religious and you want to pray to a God, maybe you want to pray to your specific God, that your faith to keep you sober, that is beautiful. If you're not religious, you don't need to pray to a God you don't believe in. You could, but I think being forced to be religious is, I don't know, it's abusive, isn't it? Spiritual abuse. But there's still ways that you can use that principle in order to get the results. Here's what I mean. Intentions are powerful. Energy is powerful. Undeniably, intentions and energy are powerful. We can measure that with scientific tools. So if you pray every morning, if you set the intention every morning, it will do the same thing physiologically in your body. Now, maybe spiritually, if you pray to a specific God, that's going to do something differently in your faith than if you set an intention. I hear that. I get that. But setting an intention every morning, like, my intention is to stay sober today, that will do it too. At night, I'm so grateful that I stayed sober today, right? Energetically connecting to what it is, where you want to steer your mind. It's like steering the ship. So you could even do it something like, please, God, angels, universe, guides, please keep me sober today. Or my intention is to stay sober today. Or everything like soul, heart, spirit, keep me sober today. However you want to do it. Connecting with your intention in the morning is super, super powerful, whether it's with a God or with however feels most alignment with you. There's no need in betraying yourself in these steps to recovery. In fact, maybe this is controversial, but to me, recovery is recovering our truth. We're covering who we are and why we're here. We're covering our spirit. We're covering our soul. We're covering like who we actually are, our essence. You know, the word sobriety, actually one of the definitions of the word sobriety is like who we come in as, like this naked being. That's what sobriety is in some of the definitions. So even when I write Sobriety Bestie on this channel, I'm talking about coming back to who you truly are. So let's do a quick recap. It was 1, call a woman in sobriety. Number 2, do a gratitude list. Number 3, how do you feel? Check in on how you're feeling. Number 4, what meeting are you going to, or how are you connecting with your recovery? Is there a community that you're going to, or an online group, or a social media group, or something like that, or a physical group? And number 5, set the intention or prayer in the morning to stay sober, asking for whatever kind of support and guidance that you believe in and that will suit you and help you recover to your natural, beautiful self. As always, I wish you much peace and freedom on your healing journey as you start to uncover more deeply who you are and why you are here. I'll see you in the next video.